churches, they are not obligated. We hope that they're going to be able.
Welcome to 2025, when a pastor will go out of his way to make a video for the world to see about how Christians are not obligated, how churches are not obligated to help people.
Hi guys, welcome back again to another video. Thank you so much for clicking as always. If this is your first time here, my name is Julie. You are welcome to Julie Harrison React. Don't make it your last by subscribing. I came across this video and it's trending right now on TikTok. This white pastor, Pastor Thomas, is currently trending for the statement he made. He came up shortly after the viral video of the white lady that was randomly calling churches and was seeking for help for formula for her crying baby. And she got turned down by all white churches except 2 black churches and a mosque. So according to Pastor Thomas, he came out to say that the churches are not obligated to help poor people, and this has provoked a lot of people. People are reacting. As a matter of fact, he has taken down the video. I'm going to let you guys listen to the videos and how people were still reacting, and please let me know what you genuinely think about this very horrible video made by this pastor in 2025. Watch these videos.
Basically, Pastor Thomas Burke came on here and said that churches aren't obligated to help people that are in need. And the reason he's saying this because of the girl that's exposing churches for not helping people in their community. So this woman is calling churches, asking them for baby formula, telling these churches that her baby hasn't eaten in a day and a half. Now, there was a social experiment. But in this social experiment, she exposed that over 30 churches denied her when she called. It went viral. Then Pastor Thomas Burke used his platform to tell people what churches will do and what churches won't do. Simple fact is this: nobody is obligated to do anything that they do not want to do. But a church, you would think that a church will want to help somebody when there's a problem, due to the fact that people donate so much money to churches. And Pastor Thomas Burke gave all types of reasons. He said churches get scammed. He said some people just want to tax the churches. He said we spend $1 trillion a year on our military. Then he goes to say that the United States spends less than 1% on helping people that are in need. And although that may be true, what does that have to do with that lady calling a church and asking a church for baby formula to feed her baby? Truth of the matter is, people can't call the governor or the president. People can call the closest thing to them, and that probably would be a church. Now, not everybody is calling with the truth, but if somebody is calling with the truth, you're telling me that you won't help them? I've seen somebody mention the fact that a pastor wouldn't even open up the doors to his mega church that let somebody in when it was a hurricane. You got certain pastors driving around in Bentleys, driving around in Benzes, living in mansions. You got certain pastors condemning people for not giving enough money for their tithes or putting enough money in collection plates. What is this? Jump in the comments. Tell me what you think. I'm out.
So that pastor really said the quiet part out loud, didn't he? In case you missed it, there is a viral video going around that's been taken down. They've even taken this pastor's picture off of the website of the church that he works at. I just checked, because he came on and said, no, churches are not obligated to help the community. They get scammed all the time. Really, what we should be talking about is how you should be using more of the current GDP to be feeding people and not funding the military. And sure, that's a valid conversation. Interesting deflection, though, because if you are not a charitable organization, you should be taxed. You're a business. And if you acknowledge that the church is a business, which I think that it is, then you should be paying taxes. Okay, where that money would go if you were being taxed is a conversation that we have on the other side of that. Okay, right? Because can we advocate for where those funds would go? And would that take some structural change within our government? Sure, absolutely. Is that a conversation worth having? Sure, absolutely. But the response being like, well, we just hope that they can be charitable. The answer isn't to tax the church. Is absolutely the entire point and the quiet part that they're not supposed to say. This guy's gonna lose his job, I bet.
This nut is calling churches asking for formula for her baby that she says is starving, and when the churches cannot provide her formula, she blasts them all over social media.
She called your church, didn't she? Just like she has called so many other churches, proving what we all know, that the churches and pastors like yourself don't really want to help anybody, just like we all saw with Pastor Thomas Burke.
There's a woman on TikTok who's doing a social experiment where she is calling churches to ask about baby formula to see if...
And it just confirms what we have already known, is that the churches never really want to help anybody. You are a tax-exempt institution. What do you think your saved taxes that you don't have to pay should be going for? And now all of you pastors are crashing out because the world is seeing you for exactly who you are. I mean, where does the money go from all the taxes you save each year? Oh yeah, into your pockets maybe? I remember going to church every Sunday and seeing that basket come around with the church expecting you to put money in it. I mean, where does some of that money go? I must have missed the part in the Bible where it said institutions that supposedly teach the teachings of Christ actually turn away hungry children.
There's a pastor on here named Thomas Burke who said that churches are not obligated to help people.
Why are churches tax exempt again? Like, I just woke up. But why are churches tax exempt if churches are not obligated to help people?
Pastor Thomas Burke, come to this message is only for you. I saw what you said on your post. Now you're private. He says churches get scammed all the time. But don't you walk by faith and not by sight? So, let's just say you did get scammed by somebody. But what about the person who's calling the church for help, who's not trying to scam the church? I can't believe this man got on Beyonce's internet and said that the church is not obligated to take care of anybody. So, my question, why do you guys need that tax exemption if you do not want to help people? Because again, like I said before, being tax exempt is a public benefit to provide charitable acts and social service. I can't believe it, but now you're private now. Why are you private? Why are you private now?
So I've seen the lady that's been calling churches asking if they have baby formula or could they get baby formula for a mother in need with a baby who needs formula. And a lot of the churches have been saying no. But I also have seen the creator on here, Thomas Burke, who I don't follow, but I've seen his stuff. He's a pastor, a Christian, and a military veteran. So he gave an opinion and say, in Islam, it is one of their 5 pillars to provide charity to the community. Like, if you don't do it, you're not really a Muslim. For American churches, they are not obligated to give charity to the community. And he's received a ton of backlash, like a ton. But so much so that he either deactivated, deleted, or privated his page on here. And where I'm highly disappointed, I'm not even disappointed in his opinion. Everybody's allowed to have an opinion. What I'm disappointed in is you're a military veteran and you privated or deactivated your page because of some words and backlash. You're supposed to be the strongest of us. And all it took was some words. I never followed you anyway, but I definitely wouldn't follow you now if you're brave enough to come back. Soldier. And you know this is bad because I don't play about the military. Thank you for your service still, Mr. Burke, but still, this is embarrassing.
I've been getting a lot of hateful messages from you all in my DMs, showing me your Christian love because you're saying that I ruined Pastor Thomas Burke's reputation. No, the fuck I did not. Pastor Burke ruined his own reputation when he said the church is not obligated to give you shit during your time of need and they don't have to feed hungry kids.
You are not only bound by biblical teachings to assist, you are also bound by the teachings that are the pillar of the faith itself. In 3rd grade, I learned about the corporal works of mercy. What do you remember the first 2 being if you do know either of them at all? The first being to feed the hungry. The second, to give drink to the thirsty. Which one do you think baby formula fell under in that instance? You just had to pick one. And before you say that this is different because you're a church, God has devoted an entire circle of hell to greed, avarice, and wealth hoarding. And church officials are not exempt. That 4th circle of hell is guarded by the demon Plutus, the demon of wealth. underworld god of riches. The greedy are doomed to an eternity of rolling massive stones across a perpetual platform. And the massive stones symbolize the hoarding of the wealth that the church officials and others did throughout their lives instead of helping others. I checked in first grade. Corrupt church officials don't get into heaven. So which one do you prefer, Pastor? Baby formula or Boulder?
So I just watched a pastor's response to the video of the lady who is doing the Lord's work and calling around all of these cosplaying Christian churches and exposing them for who they really are by basically performing a social experiment to see if they will feed a newborn. And this is a pastor who I would say probably is more along the lines of a progressive sort of pastor. But you know, the thing about performative progressivism is that people really do show who they really are when it comes to how they are going to be impacted by something. And essentially what he said was that the churches are responding the way in which they are responding because they get scammed all the time. Well, vulnerable people get scammed by churches all the time. Vulnerable people get used, their testimonies, their stories, all of that stuff gets used by churches to help promote their mission work and get tithes in. But you know what? You know who doesn't receive any sort of funding or pay for getting up there and talking about how they went through a journey of sobriety and all of those things and how the church helped them? You know who doesn't receive a dime of that money? That person who's standing up there in their own vulnerability, sharing their story. And they're the person that could probably use it the most. And then he says that the answer shouldn't be to tax churches, because churches, the tax dollars that they would contribute would then go to the military, and the military does war things. I mean, I about spit out my coffee because I'm sitting here listening to this guy and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, yeah, no shit. But first of all, our tax dollars do not go to the military. What they go to is contractors. They go to contractors who, frankly, use and abuse the system to balloon up a DOD budget that is insane. But the same military, the folks that are in, that serve, live in rundown housing, all right? The bases are awful. Housing on bases is shit. I have friends whose children have lead poisoning because of the fact they live on military bases and how shitty military base housing is. So it doesn't go to the military. It goes to the contractors. So that's point one. Second of all, like, yeah, no shit, like nobody else, we don't want our tax dollars going to funding that shit either. That is another TikTok for another day, because I used to be a former Department of Defense federal contractor, and my work in that industry led me to have a total career shift and become a social worker. So the truth of the matter, the truth that, Pastor Daddy, that you don't want to hear is that churches have no problem taking money from the vulnerable, but when the vulnerable come calling, they close their doors. And the reason you don't want to hear that is because of something called moral injury. Because you think that you can wrap this in some weird little moral God complex and say, look at us, our church has a food pantry. No. The real issue is, why are you all, as Christian leaders, not holding each other accountable? And just because you don't like how the truth sounds because you sound like the bad guy, it doesn't make it less true.
So I looked up this pastor and I saw his reaction video, and honestly, I'm not surprised. The way that he is just making up excuses for reasons why churches say no to helping people, it's again, I'm not surprised. Well, people call churches as scammers all the time. People call us asking for money and blah, blah, blah. She's not asking for money. She's asking for one small can of baby formula, and if the church says that they don't physically have it, she's asking if there's a way for the church to get it, and then she can come pick it up. How is that a scam? And then him saying, my assistant just this week, which, first of all, why does a pastor have an assistant? But him saying, my assistant just this week got 3 text messages or phone calls or whatever where somebody was asking for a gift card and blah, blah. Again, she's not asking for money. She's not asking for a gift card. She's asking for help to obtain one small can of formula. Now, I don't know how much a can of formula costs. I'm not a parent. I'm never going to be a parent, so I don't know how much formula costs. I'm on my way to the store anyway to pick up a prescription, so I'm going to look and see how much a can of formula is. But regardless the price of it, you're telling me that a church that receives all these donations and tax exemptions can't afford to go buy one can of formula for one hungry baby? And this pastor just making up excuses as to why they're not helping a hungry baby shows why more and more people are leaving the church, because these churches are being exposed for not actually caring about people. Churches need to be taxed because they're nothing but businesses. So at the grocery store, I checked how much the cheapest can of formula was, and the cheapest one they had was like $22. So you're telling me that these churches that are getting donations and getting tax exemptions cannot afford to go get a $22 can of formula for a starving baby? Come on now.
Okay, so let me meet you where you need to be met. It is not the church's responsibility to feed people who cannot feed themselves. So what is the purpose of churches? Why do churches get tax exempt? Let's talk logistically before we talk about religion. What is the point if they do not house people, if they do not have shelter for people, if they do not feed people? What is the point of the church? If you're going to say worship, Jesus has to be within it, as in the souls of people, in our actions, in the way we love one another, for Jesus to be in that home or in that building. And if you don't live like Christ by feeding the poor, by providing shelter, by feeding babies, by showing love, by being kind, Jesus doesn't live in that building that you call a church, right? I don't need a building to worship. I have a home I can worship Jesus in. So what's the point of a church? Again, if they do not feed the poor, house the poor, show empathy to the poor, love the poor, move like Jesus, live like Jesus. Mind you, I'm Muslim, so I'm meeting you where you need to be met. What's the point of a church if they're not going to move and live like Jesus and through Jesus? Quickly now, because you putting that emoji as if I said something outlandish, saying that churches have the responsibility to feed, shelter, house, love, empathize the poor. I don't think I know what the definition of a church, a mosque, a temple is then. There would be no point and use of a temple, mosque, and church if you don't move and live like Christ, as Christians and as Muslims move and live through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Muslims. So maybe we need to have an education on what the point of a church is then from you. I want to add on, it is my responsibility, human to human, regardless of religion, race and gender and sexual preference. It is my responsibility to make sure my neighbors are eating. Even if I'm not able to eat, I seek to make sure that my neighbors, regardless of religion, sexual preference, gender, race, it is my responsibility. I take that on with no burden to make sure my neighbors eat. So if I, a simple being, is taking on this responsibility, why would not a church that God is supposed to live in, why would they not take that responsibility?
Let's quickly talk about this pastor, and I am just so glad that he is feeling the heat already. Pastor Thomas is already feeling the heat because he is being massively dragged on social media. As a matter of fact, I even heard that this church has been taken down. I heard that he has lost everything. He has lost his page, he has lost all his social medias, and of course, he has lost his congregation for being silly. How can you come out? I know that he's coming from a place of sore loser. That's what I'm going to say, because he is just speaking from a place of, like, he felt like he has lost. And he decided to clap back on the white lady that was randomly doing an experiment. So I believe by now we must have seen the video of this white lady crying out that she was seen making a lot of videos talking about the fact that so many churches, she called like tons of churches, especially the white churches, all of them turned out, and she actually acted or pretended that she had a crying baby with her, a starving baby. So she was randomly calling churches and she told them that the baby needs food, the baby is crying, she needs formula. Even if you cannot, she believes that churches does not have formula, but at least you can provide for the AIDS. You can give her money or tell her where to pick up the formula and all that, right? But all the churches turned her down except 2 black churches and a mosque. And I just feel like this white man was actually speaking from a place of he doesn't want to take the heat. He feels like he has lost. And he made a video to prove to people, to prove to the world that churches are not obligated to help people in need. Like in 2025, what sort of mindset is this? Like, make it make sense. How can you come out to say that churches is in the Bible? Even Jesus said that he was hungry, you gave him food to eat. He was thirsty, and you gave him water to drink. Does it mean that the pastor doesn't read Bible? Is it just a social media pastor that does not know the scriptures? Because him coming out to loudly and broadly say that churches are not obligated to help people in need, then what is the work of churches? The last time I checked, there are lots of exemptions because they believe that their money is being channeled to help people. Random people go to churches when they don't have any money, they don't have any food, they don't even have clothes, because they believe that when you go to churches, you get these things. In my churches, sometimes they would advise us, if you have any clothes that you're no longer using, if you have food, just bring it to church. They will have people to share these things with. And what he had to say is that churches does not have any. Is there an obligation from churches to help the people in need? They should be compelled to help people in need. It's not a thing of choice. Like, it's like a must that you must help people in need. I feel so disappointed hearing him speak, because I believe that he should have addressed this properly. And the moment I heard him utter those words, I know that he is actually living in the I don't know his age right now, but I am so disappointed. And this is very, very embarrassing, hearing such an adult, a man of God, as he claimed to be, a pastor, coming out to say that them helping the needy, the church helping the needy, providing for the needy, is not their obligation. It's a shameful thing. And I just love the fact that he got cancelled and people are reacting. He got schooled. And I believe that he will never utter such word again, even if he's going to get back, because at this point, I doubt he's going to get back on his feet anymore. Let me know what you generally think about the reactions coming from people, how they generally feel about this statement made by this pastor. And please don't forget to subscribe for more. If this is your first time here, my name is Julie. You are welcome to Julie Harrison React. Don't make your last by subscribing. I'm going to see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.